And now, a little bit of art inspired by art. Our next guest up here is Alice Major. And if you don't know who that is, well, she's published 10 collections of poetry, 2 novels for young adults, an award-winning collection of essays about poetry and science. She says she came to Edmonton the long way around, grew up in Dumbarton, Scotland, a small town on the banks of the Clyde, not far from Glasgow. Her family came to Canada when she was 8, and she grew up in Toronto before coming west to work as a reporter on the Williams Lake Tribune in British Columbia. She's been an active supporter of the arts and writing community, and some of her additional credits are first Poet Laureate, you may recall, for the City of Edmonton when that was announced, from 2005 through 7, past president of the League of Canadian Poets and of the Writers Guild of Alberta and of the Edmonton Arts Council. She's the founder of the Edmonton Poetry Festival, and she is here to share a little bit of her personal inspiration from both Taras Shevchenko and Kobzar. Alice was the writer of Shumka's Tradition in Motion book, which was published in 1991, so a long-standing familial connection here between Shumka and Alice. Ladies and gentlemen, my pleasure to introduce Alice Major.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad to be here as a kind of honorary Ukrainian for tonight. As John said, once you get hold of, Shumka gets hold of you, you never quite get out of the room again. And I'm astonished to realize it was 1991 when we wrote the book. I think we need chapter 2 by now. I was also really, really delighted to realize that Kobzar is based on the work of a poet. Poets don't often feel all that important. And so I'm really quite delighted by the fact that Taras Shevchenko is the inspiration for this enormous effort. I want to start and read you one of the poems that's being incorporated into the performance, the famous one that goes, "Beside the house, the cherries flowering, above the trees, the June buds hum. The ploughmen from the furrows come, the girls all wander homeward singing, and mothers wait the meal for them. Beside the house, a family supper, above the evening star appears. The daughter serves the dishes here. It's useless to be scolding, mother. The nightingale won't let her hear. Beside the house, the mother lulls the little children for the night. Then she, too, settles at their side, and all is still. Only the girls and nightingales disturb the quiet." Now, when I read that poem, I was struck how really familiar it felt. Although, being from Glasgow, I did not grow up with Taras Shevchenko's work. But it did remind me very much of another poet's work, a poet of my country. There's a famous poem by Robert Burns called "The Cotter's Saturday Night," and it paints the picture of a peasant family that's gathered for that evening meal. And the daughter has brought the suitor home, and the mother is not quite sure about this young man. She's looking him over, and it ends with the children settling to sleep. But then Burns sort of pulls out of the poem for the last few stanzas, and let me read you one verse from close to the end. "O Scotland, my dear, my native soil, for whom my warmest wish to heaven is sent, long may thy hardy sons of rustic toil be blessed with health and peace and sweet content. And oh, may heaven their simple lives prevent from luxury's contagion, weak and vile. Then, howe'er crowns and coronets be rent, a virtuous populace may rise the while and stand a wall of fire around their much-loved isle." Now, doesn't that sound very much like this stanza from Shevchenko's Zapovit? Oh, bury me, then rise you up and break your heavy chains and water with the tyrant's blood the freedom you have gained. And in the great new family, the family of the free, with softly spoken, kindly word, remember also me. There were so many similarities between these two men. When I started to read the lives of Shevchenko, I thought, oh heavens, it's Ukraine's Burns, you know. Both were born into very impoverished circumstances. They both achieved recognition in their own time, but they were always on the outside, and they always felt the reverberations of poverty.